Okay. Hello everyone, welcome to the eBenefits training session. Hopefully everyone's able to join us. It's about 2 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully most of you find this very useful in regards to having this via online and being able to log in and follow this presentation along either through the computer or if you're calling in through the phone and following along with the presentation. We wanted to offer this new service to you guys versus coming over to Gateway and sitting through this training, so hopefully you find it very helpful. We want to go over a few housekeeping items first. You can be listening to this presentation through your computer using your speakers or headphones. And if you're listening using this method, please ensure you have muted your speaker by clicking on the green speaker button and selecting Mute My Speaker as seen in the screenshot on the slide. You can also listen to the presentation by calling into the toll-free conference call number. And if you're listening through that method, please ensure that you have your telephone on mute through the entire presentation. The way that we're going to be accepting questions throughout the presentation and even after will be via email at ess@hr.osu.edu. So at any time, if you have questions, please send those to that email address. You'll also notice that email address should be at the bottom of the slides as we continue in case you forget it, or on the right. Again, that's ess@hr.osu.edu. And we're going to dedicate some time at the end of the presentation to answer any questions that we've got during the presentation. Anything that we get after, we'll follow up with that person directly. And we will be emailing this presentation out to everyone who has attended and after the presentation is finished. So hopefully later today or first thing tomorrow, you'll get a copy of this presentation sent to you via email as well. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. And we'll start the eBenefits training. And I think we've got a targeted audience here on the phone, so we're focusing on the Wexner Medical Center Central HR Support and Payroll Office. So really appreciate you guys working with us and wanted to go over a few things today. We're going to try to talk about an overview of what eBenefits is in their timeline. We're also going to talk through some detailed eBenefits functionality and what we're calling our training topics. Then we'll go over tips and tricks that will hopefully help you guys as you receive questions. Want you to feel prepared and knowledgeable. Then support during eBenefits, so we'll walk you through who to call or email if you had questions or feedback during the next few months. And then as I mentioned, we'll reserve some time for Q&A at the end and any questions that we receive to the ess@hr.osu.edu during the presentation. So let's go ahead and go over the timeline and overview. So today is our go live. So we are currently, I think orientation is underway. So the eBenefits is being introduced at the new hire orientation today. We are also going to do some additional targeted communication in this articles. You'll notice that the link, the eBenefits link, is now on the OneSource website. So we are thrilled to have the Wexner Medical Center and College of Med agree to help us pilot this new eBenefits functionality. It's similar to open enrollment but has been enhanced. And we're really looking forward to getting feedback from employees as well as you guys during the next few months. And then our goal is to roll it out to the entire university when we roll out employee self-service functionality on April 30th. So I know the Medical Center and College of Med already has the ability to update information on employee self-service, but the entire university will be getting that April 30th, and that's when we'll be introducing eBenefits to the entire university. So that's a little bit about the overview and timeline. Next, I want to go over what an employee can really do on eBenefits. This site allows employees to enroll in medical, dental, and vision plans. They can also add eligible dependents to those plans. They'll be able to view their personal health assessment status. They'll be able to designate beneficiaries for their life insurance plans, enroll in dependent group life and other voluntary group life insurance plans, enroll in short-term disability, enroll in flexible spending accounts. In addition to that, they'll also be able to enroll in dependent tuition assistance. So that's something that we're going to now be allowing and strongly encouraging is done online. also enroll into supplemental retirement accounts. So those are those 403B or 457 plans. Existing employees can also view or print a summary of their current benefit elections. They'll also be able to update and manage their benefits if they have a life event, such as a marriage, birth, divorce, etc. We're going to have a help button that will always be on the home page, which will direct them to tutorials at any time. So real quickly, what employees will not be able to do on eBenefits is they will not be able to enroll into our basic retirement plans, which include STRS, OPERS, or our alternative retirement plans. So those are not available electronically through eBenefits. All right, so I'm going to continue into the actual logging into eBenefits. First I'm going to show you the home page. So this is the home page. It basically summarizes what I just mentioned in regards to what employees will be able to do on eBenefits. So once they log in, they'll see this page. The benefit summary is the summary of benefits. Benefit enrollment is really where our new hires will be directed to make their elections. Life events, supplemental retirement account, dependent tuition, and health. And we're going to walk through all of those in a little bit more detail. First, let's talk about logging on. So for these steps, wanted to walk through Med Center and College of Med will have a specific login process. They're going to be able to access eBenefits on OneSource, so on the intranet site. The logo is now on the OneSource page as of this afternoon, so we're very excited it's there. And what an employee will do is just click on that logo, and they'll be then prompted to enter their Med Center user ID and password. These instructions, login instructions, are also included in the new hire orientation packet, which employees will be receiving today, the employees who attended. So once they log in with their, once they click on that link, they will be entering their user ID and password. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about once they've logged in, how they will start the enrollment process. Once they've logged in, they will see the eBenefits homepage, and they'll click on Benefit Enrollment to begin. And this is also in the steps that the new hire employees will receive in the packet. Once they click on Benefit Enrollment, they're going to see a summary of their current options. We also try to highlight some key benefit information that they can use to do some additional research or just really help them better understand our benefits before they start making their elections. So to begin, they're going to click Select. Notice that you also see in that blue box where it says Select that they have the new hire enrollment, that's their open event, if you will. So they're going to click Select next to that. If they're a new hire and they don't see an open event, then they need to call our office. But hopefully they'll see that open event. The next page will be the enrollment summary page, which I will refer to several times throughout the presentation. This is going to show a summary of all the benefits the employee is eligible for to enroll in. This is really only a quarter of the page. This is a really core page within eBenefits. And this is also ultimately where an employee will need to go to scroll down and authorize and submit. But to enroll, view, or change any of their elections, they're going to click the Edit button next to the corresponding benefit they would like to take action on. So let's walk through what an employee looks like when they select medical and they want to start making enrollment elections for their medical. So they're going to click Edit. Next, employees will see a summary of the important information followed by a summary of all the eligible medical plans. So each plan will display what the premium costs by the coverage level per paycheck. So the system is taking into consideration whether they're biweekly versus monthly. In addition to the options displayed, employees can also select Prime Care Connect. Prime Care Connect is not a medical plan that is a medical plan that provides some relief for financial barriers to receiving necessary care for certain individuals in lower income brackets. We are not allowing that to be done online because it requires an application process. So all that information is available on this page, but you just can't really see that in the screenshot. So, but to continue, for this example, let's say I select the medical election I want to select Prime Care Advantage, so I'm going to click the radio button on the left of the plan I want to enroll in. And once I've done that, then it's going to pull, this is the same page, you just scroll down to the bottom, then it's going to pop up this Enroll Your Dependents section. So you have to click on a plan before you're going to see the section that allows you to enroll your dependents. So once they've selected that, they most likely, this is an example of a new hire, they're not going to have any dependents on file. So what they're going to want to do is they're going to add those dependents by just clicking the Add Review Dependent button. So let's say we click on that, and next we're going to be taken to a screen that summarizes the dependents we have on file. Again, we don't have any on file in this example, so we're going to click Add a Dependent. Notice we also give a button for individuals to look at the dependent eligibility guidelines, since there's only certain types of dependents you can enroll into your plans. They have to be eligible. So once they click Add Review, they're going to be prompted to enter the information that includes first name, last name, gender, date of birth, social security number, and the relationship to the employee as well as the address. So all that information is required when you're adding someone to your health benefits. We do require SSN. Note, if it's a newborn, I think under 6 months, SSN is not required, but they will get a pop-up reminding them that they need to report that SSN as soon as the child reaches 6 months. So once I've entered the information, I've entered Sam here, so I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. I'm going to get a confirmation that my information was entered correctly. And it summarizes a couple times for you. And this is just so you can make sure you're good with your election. Because once you've saved this is what we would say was permanently saved unless you contact the Office of Human Resources to correct something. But once they've entered it and hit Save, it's going to give you a summary. It'll return to your dependent beneficiary summary. And this is really where it becomes permanent. So once you see this page, this is, you now have Sam as an eligible dependent. And if you want to enroll him, you're not quite done. So what we want to do at this point is hit the Return to Benefit Election button, which will allow us to enroll this dependent into the health plan. So once I've clicked Continue, I'm going to be taken back to the medical plan page. And notice now Sam displays in that blue box, if you will. And there's a button or a checkbox next to his name, and employees need to check on that box to actually enroll that dependent into the medical plan. So that is really important. Sometimes the employee will maybe add them, but then when they get back to this page, they won't check the box. If that's the case, once they click Continue, they get another summary of what the elections they just made. So this would be another opportunity for them to see that they added Sam, or again, if they maybe forgot to check the box, they would see that his name isn't appearing there, and that their coverage would also just maybe say employee. So this gives a good summary of their choice, their estimated cost per pay period. Again, it takes into consideration whether they're biweekly or monthly. And then it also summarizes the covered dependents, as well as when the election will take effect. So for this example, let's say I'm good with adding Sam, and I'm going to click OK to continue. And now let's walk through adding Sam, let's say, to our dental and vision. All right, so I've clicked Continue. It's taken me back to this enrollment summary page. Notice now that my medical, I have a current and a new, so notice that the new line says Prime Care Advantage Employee plus Children. So it's going to keep a track on this page of the benefits I've enrolled in. So now that I'm ready to begin the enrollment, I'm going to click Edit next to the dental plan to start that process. Okay, so it's going to default to waive if I'm a new hire. So we only have one dental plan, as you know, the university. So we have the option, if you want to enroll in dental, you would click on the radio button next to dental. And again, this will display the premium cost and by coverage level. So once I've selected the dental plan, same as medical, you have to select a plan first. Then then it'll populate this section, enroll your dependents at the bottom of that page. Notice that Sam's already there, so I don't have to add Sam every single time under every plan. You just really add him once. But let's say I wanted to maybe add a different dependent to my dental. You could definitely do that by hitting Add Review Dependents. And if you didn't want Sam, for example, on your dental, you could just unclick next to his name. But it's going to show you all eligible dependents there. And again, if they wanted to add any other ones, they could do that by simply hitting the Add Review Dependent button. But for this example, let's say I want to enroll Sam, so I check next to his name, and I'm going to click Continue. Again, it's going to give me a good summary of my election, including the coverage code level, the estimated cost, all my covered dependents, and when the coverage will take effect. So the employee will click Continue to save the election and move to the next steps, which is to take you back to the enrollment summary page. So that basically walks through. Now you can see I'm in the dental plan employee plus children because I've added Sam. Let's walk through one more. Vision, very, very similar, so you'll get the hang of this. If we wanted to enroll in Vision, we would just click Edit next to Vision. Again, it's going to summarize the current Vision plan. The default is always Wave, so the employee must select a plan and then scroll down to add the dependents if applicable. So let's say I click Vision. I'm going to click Continue. Once I click Vision, it'll open up this Enroll in Your Dependent section. And this is where I'll see any eligible dependents I have on file listed. To enroll them into the Vision, I would just click the box next to their name, indicating I want to enroll them in Vision. Again, if I wanted to add someone else to Vision, maybe my husband or another child, I could just click the Add Review Dependents and add those individuals, add them at that time, and then I'll be directed back to this page where you would just click the box next to their name. For this example, let's say I'm just adding Sam, so I'm going to click Continue, and that'll take me to a summary and highlighting my choice, the estimated cost, again summarizing who I'm covering, and when the benefit will take effect. So I'm going to click OK to continue. Now I'm back to that enrollment summary page. So this is a pretty big page. We can't get it all into one screenshot here, but the next thing I want to cover is the PHA, or the Personal Health Assessment Premium Credit Summary that we currently have on there for employees to view. So if I wanted to find out a little bit more about the PHA, I could click on the View button next to the PHA Premium Credit. That'll take me to a page that says a little bit about what the PHA is, and it'll also have my current status. This example, I'm a new hire, so I have not taken the PHA, so the status will be expired. Notice there's a link there so employees can go there and try to start scheduling their PHA process. The current vendor that we use for Your Plan for Health receives a weekly file of all of our new hires so that they can start logging on. So if someone's really eager, they might click on this and not yet have a password sent to them, but hopefully they will shortly. I'm also going to show you later what it would look like for a current employee who maybe has taken their PHA, but in this example, let's say I haven't, so I'm going to see more information about how to do that, and then I'll click Continue. I also want to highlight adding beneficiaries. That was really something we plugged during open enrollment this year, was that you could go online and electronically designate your beneficiaries for your life insurance plans. So the same would apply at a new hire. When you are newly hired, we want to strongly encourage individuals to add their beneficiaries. Note that we've now added a little bit of text around the group term life, because that's where they would go to update their beneficiary information. Notice that the amount that's displayed is going to be the coverage level, which is 2.5 times their base salary. So let's say I'm ready to add some dependents. Let's walk through that process. I'm going to click Edit next to Group Term Life. And that's going to pull up information about Group Term Life, and then towards the bottom of that, it's going to summarize the current beneficiaries I have on file. I can add new beneficiaries if I'd like. And in this example, let's say I want to make Sam my primary. So I'm going to enter an amount next to his name. And then to add a new one, let's say for this example, I'll add mother beneficiary as a beneficiary. So I'm going to click Add Review Beneficiary. So let's walk through that. You're taken to a page that summarizes your current beneficiaries. So you can see Sam's information. So if I wanted to add a new one, I would click Add Beneficiary. That's going to take me to this very similar page where I need to enter all the information. Notice, though, for a beneficiary, Social Security number is not required, and there's a longer list of options as far as a relationship to an employee. So they're going to fill out this information. I want to highlight a few things in case you guys get questions we experienced during open enrollment. If the individual has a trust that they're trying to put on file or an estate, that is one of the drop-down options as far as a relationship to an employee. They can pick estate or other for trying to do a trust. If the name of the estate or trust does not fit in the name fields, then they can just fill out a form. But we will be able to accept whatever can fit in the name field, and they would just enter the rest of the information, their information. Next, the employee is going to click Save after they've entered. So in this example, I've entered mother, all her information. I'm going to click Save. It's going to let me know that that save was successful if I entered all the required information. I'm going to get a summary. So we'd like to summarize a couple times. So if at any point you wanted to edit something, this would be your last chance. If you hit Return, it's going to be saved. And notice now, next to under mother's name, mother, you have a Designate Beneficiary button in yellow. So this is what the employee would click on to designate the beneficiary. Then they're going to get a pop-up that says the beneficiary you have selected has been added. Please click the Return to Benefit Election button to enter the designate percent for that beneficiary. So I will click OK, then click Return to Benefit Election. And that's going to take me back to this page, which now you see mother's information. You will need to add a percent amount next to the beneficiary's name in order to designate them. If there's no beneficiary, or if there's no percent listed next to the name, then they won't be designated. I also want to highlight, sorry, I think something I skipped over was the Remove Beneficiary option now. So you can also remove beneficiaries from this grid. So they will be undesignated as a beneficiary. They will still show on the benefit summary page, but they will not be listed in this blue grid, if you will, under the beneficiary information. So those are some of the enhancements we've kind of made since open enrollment. You can also, it does have to be a flat amount. We had a few people that asked, can I do 33.33%? If I have 3 kids. So no, we do actually make you pick a favorite, if you will. So you'll have to do 34, 33, and 33, or however you like. But we do require this still to be a full number. It needs to total up to 100%. So let's say I'm good with adding mother. I'm going to click Continue. Again, it's going to summarize my elections just made. It's going to show Sam as my primary, my mother as the contingent, and the total percent there. So if I'm good with this election, I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to take me back to this enrollment summary page. So I want to walk you through one other benefit enrollment process, just because this does have warning message that could appear depending on how the employee enrolls. So I wanted to walk through this in case you guys get any questions around voluntary life insurance plans, because those are a little bit more complicated. But let's say you wanted to enroll in voluntary life insurance, which is the university's voluntary additional life insurance plan that employees can purchase. You would scroll down on this page until you see the voluntary group life plan, then you would click Edit next to it to begin enrolling. The very first question you're going to get is the employee is going to be prompted to self-identify if they had any type of tobacco products in the last 12 months. This is important for us to calculate the coverage rates for the next following steps. So let's say I'm going to click No. I'll click Save. That's going to then give me a drop down, a list of options that I can select 1 to 8 times my salary, max to 400,000. Notice that there's an asterisk next to the 2 times and up. So 1 times I can enroll into this plan up to 1 times without doing evidence of insurability. Anything else will require an evidence of insurability, which is basically our life insurance provider, Minnesota Life, will be contacting the employee, requiring them to fill out additional documentation before that enrollment can be necessarily approved, and that deduction will start after that EOI is received and approved. So also note an age reduction formula does go into effect at age 65 and reduces the life insurance benefit, and this is all explained on this page, not necessarily shown in this screenshot though. So let's say I'm going to choose 4 times. So I understand that I'm going to select a higher level of coverage that will require EOI, but evidence of insurability, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click on 4 times, and then I'm going to click continue. It's going to give me a nice summary again of what my choice was and the cost, and then a nice reminder too that evidence of insurability is required before this coverage takes effect. And until that is approved, my estimated cost will be reduced to the highest level of coverage that does not require. So that's always 1 times. So until it's approved, it's going to go drop to 1 times. Once it's approved, then it's going to go up to 4 times. Notice that even though I click OK, I'm going to be taken back to this enrollment summary. I have not saved anything yet until I authorize and submit. So once they get redirected back to this enrollment summary page, they can scroll down. And let's say at this point, I'm ready to check out, if you will. I have no other benefit elections I'd like to make. I really had not done anything yet until I authorize and submit, which we really try to highlight several places on the website. So I'm going to click continue. So I'm done. I'm going to get, this is that warning I was talking about because I did enroll in a plan that requires evidence of insurability. I'm getting a friendly reminder that I will be contacted through the U.S. Postal Mail to obtain additional information for my voluntary life group insurance, but I'm okay with that, so I'm going to click continue. Then I'm going to get the text that asks me to review and authorize my elections, or authorize and submit your benefit elections. So this is really an important step, and we'll talk a little bit later about employees that maybe have gone through, they think they have authorized and submitted, but they haven't. We're actually able to see a list of those folks who maybe have gone through and tried to make elections but did not authorize and submit, and we'll try to send targeted emails to those folks as well, which I'll go through that a little bit later. But let's say I'm good, I'm ready to check out, if you will. I'm going to hit authorize and submit, and then I'm going to be prompted to a confirmation page. And this will allow employees to instantly print a confirmation of the elections they just made. Notice they've got to have their pop-up blockers allowing this, because this does open up in another window in a PDF. So some computers default setting to block pop-ups, so that yellow ribbon usually will appear at the top, and they just need to click on that and allow pop-ups. So let's say I view print that confirmation statement, and I'm good to go. So that really gives you a confirmation of what the elections I just made as a new hire. So next we're going to go through life events, and this is really a new concept. So employees will now be able to go, existing employees would be able to go on to eBenefits to make life event benefit elections. So if I was an existing employee, I would go to the OneSource link, and I would click on eBenefits. I would log in with my MedCenter user ID and password, and then I would click on the Life Events button to start making the needed changes or updates. Once here, they're going to be asked 2 questions, really. The first one is what type of life event has occurred for them within the last 31 days. And notice this cannot be, there's options here. These are not all of the options, but these are all the ones we're going to be able to do electronically. So there's a couple other ones that employee would still need to fill out a form for, but we list all of the life event options and we give them a hyperlink so they can review that information as well. But for this example, let's say I'm doing a childbirth, so I'm going to select that as my life event. Then next, it's going to ask me what the date was of the event. In this case, that means what is the child's date of birth. Note that this cannot be a future dated event, so the system won't take anything if you're trying to, say, oh, I know I'm going to have the baby in 3 days because I have a cesarean, whatever. It definitely has to be, it cannot be a future date. So it'll give you a warning if you do try to do that. Once they enter the date of the information, notice we also try to highlight if the dependent if you add a new dependent, it's going to require dependent verification. So they will also receive an email confirming that, and if additional documentation is required, they're going to hear from our ACS vendor as well. So let's say I've entered the birth date. The very next thing is it's going to direct you to the benefit enrollment page. So this page may look a little familiar. This is the exact same as if you were a new hire. But notice at the bottom now it says birth. So that's my description of the event now. So it's open for me. So basically what the employee has done by answering those two questions is they've generated an event that the system will now allow them to process their benefits through. So they're going to go ahead and same thing, they could read that information, important information, but say I'm ready to get started. I'm going to click select. And that's going to take me to the enrollment summary page. So for this example, let's say that I am, obviously, I already have some kids maybe in my Prime Care Advantage Employee Plus Children, but I wanted to add my new child, so I'm just going to click Edit next to the medical plan. Then I'm going to see a list of, if I scroll down, they'll see the current dependents they have already on file, and I wanted to add a new one in this example, so I'm going to click Add Review Dependents. I'm going to see a summary of my existing dependents. I'm going to click Add Dependendo because I want to add someone new. Same thing as before, you're going to be prompted to enter all their information. Then you're going to click Save. Once you've done that, you'll get a pop-up letting you know that the information you have entered has been saved. A summary, and again, this will be your last chance to make any changes. Once you hit Return to Benefit Enrollment, it'll be saved. Now you'll see all 3 of your dependents there. You'll hit Return to Benefit Election. Notice Amy is now added. Again, they'll need to check the box next to the newly added dependent in order to enroll them into their medical plan. So let's say I checked the box, enroll box next to Amy. You know what'll happen next. One more summary. So it's going to give you, again, a summary of your choice, your current cost, as well as all the covered dependents. So this is another chance where I can see, okay, I've just added Amy, and it's going to tell you the date that the benefit will take effect as well. They'll click OK, and they'll be taken back to that enrollment summary page. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to walk through everything, but again, let's say if I wanted to add Amy to dental and vision, you would just select Edit next to dental and vision. But let's say I wanted to go ahead and finish the enrollment. I would scroll down to the bottom until I see the table which summarizes all of my benefit costs and click Continue, because I'm ready to authorize and submit. Once I've hit Continue, I'm going to see the summary, all this fun legal text. I'm going to read everything, of course, and then I'm going to click Authorize and Submit. So once they've done that, same thing. They'll get an option to print a confirmation, which just confirms all the elections they just made. And that pretty much summarizes the life event. So I'm going to move right along to benefit summary. And this is something that is going to be hopefully very helpful to a lot of our existing employees. And it will also be something that individuals who maybe just did a new hire or a life event could ultimately use. But I want to walk through a little bit of some of the tips and tricks, if you will, around benefit summary. So if I'm an existing employee, I can log in and I'll see this benefit summary option, which is just going to give me a nice view of all the benefits that I'm currently enrolled in. Notice though, if let's say I just did a new hire, I just entered all my information, and then I instantly go to benefit summary, it's not going to display all of the benefit elections I just made. So we try to highlight that in text on the top of the page, that the benefit summary reflects elections that have been processed by our department, and if they've recently made changes, that they need to allow a few business days for this page to be updated, because a lot of things need to process on the back end before this page is populated. So, but in this example, let's say I'm an existing employee. So you can see I'm enrolled in all these different plans. Notice that there's also a lot of hyperlinks, which allows employees to click on that and find additional information about the plan. So example, if I clicked on medical, I would see a nice pop-up about NGS, our medical provider, and their contact information. But what I really want to highlight around benefit summary is that existing employees can update their beneficiaries at any time by visiting the benefit summary page. So you do not have to have a life event or a new enrollment. You can do that at any time. So let's walk through that. I'm going to click Group Term Life Insurance. And in this example, it's going to summarize who I currently have on file. So let's say I have two beneficiaries on file. Let's say I just want to change percent. So I want to change how I'm allocating. You would just click Edit, or if you wanted to add a new one, you would click Edit. It's going to give you this very familiar grid, which we went over a little bit as a new hire. Again, you could remove a beneficiary by simply clicking the Remove Beneficiary button. If I wanted to add a new one, I could click the Add New Beneficiary. If I wanted to change the percent, which is what I'm going to do in this example, I would just enter a new value next to the person's name. I'm going to click Save, and it's going to confirm my save. It's going to summarize it. Notice now it says 60/40. And then I would click Return to Life Insurance, Return to Group Term Life Summary, and that's going to take me back to this page. That's going to summarize my change. So if I've added someone new, that would also display here. If I'm good with the change, I'm going to hit Return. If I wanted to make additional changes, obviously they could do that by clicking Edit. So let's say I'm good with that. I click Save. I think I promised you earlier I'd show you what a PHA maybe would look like for a current individual who's taken their PHA. So this is where employees could go to see their PHA status. Once you go to the benefit summary page, you could click on PHA Premium Credit. And they're going to see some text that tells them that they are current and the PHA, when we have on file that they have taken the PHA and when it will expire. So this will hopefully be it's something we offered during the open enrollment, which we think was very helpful. So hopefully current employees will also find this helpful. If I'm good with that, I'll hit Return to Benefit Summary. And a couple other things I want to highlight. Most of these are just informational type of hyperlinks. The ones that will actually allow employees to make elections or actually update information are Group Term Life, and the only other ones would be 403 or 457, and the employee would have to be enrolled in those plans. So if I was currently, in this example, in this screenshot, I'm currently enrolled in a 403B plan, I could click on that and it'll direct me to the options to make changes to my 403B account, which is basically the same as if they were to navigate there through the home page, which is the example I'm going to walk you through. So I don't want to jump ahead quite yet, but basically this is the benefit summary page. And again, it's going to give them a quick, brief overview of their current benefit elections. Notice at the bottom there's a view print verification letter. I do want to indicate that this is functionality that is not available today, but we are targeting to have this available in 2 weeks. So it will be available for the pilot, but just not today, so I apologize for that. But we are hoping that employees will be able to view, have just a nice printout of this, and that printout also includes the deduction amounts. So it's going to summarize all of this as well as the deduction amount. So that's going to be available in the next 2 weeks, but for now, just the summary page is displayed. So let's go ahead and, sorry, the 403B, I think I talked a little bit about that, but if you were going to go ahead and enroll in 403B, you can click Edit, and we're going to walk through that through the home page. So this is a sneak peek of what that print view confirmation will look like. If I clicked on that, it's going to put on nice letterhead. It's going to summarize all my elections. So let's go ahead and walk through supplemental retirement account elections. So this would be if an employee is wanting to make SRA, or as we like to put acronyms on everything, supplemental retirement account changes. They're going to, once they visit OneSource, they can log in with their, click eBenefits, and then they're going to log in with their MedCenter user ID and password. They're going to be taken to this home page, and they can click on supplemental retirement account to get started. Notice that they have 2 options, the 403B or the 457. We also offer hyperlinks that will allow them to compare the plans and give them detailed descriptions about the plan as well. Let's say in this example, I'm going to want to make changes to my 403B, or I'm actually going to want to enroll. So I'm not currently enrolled in this example. So once I click Edit, the only option will be for me to enroll. It's also going to summarize my current max contributions. It does take into consideration their age and if they have a catch-up for 403B. So I'm going to want to enroll in this example, so I check Enroll. Once I check Enroll, this additional information will appear on the screen. So this is kind of a scroll down. If I scroll down that page, I checked Enroll. Then it's going to ask me to indicate the provider. So there's going to be a drop-down list of all of our current providers. It'll also, once you select one, it's going to provide a hyperlink for them, because it's really important, as always, as it was with a form, for the employee to open the account with the vendor before they enroll with us. So we know basically where to send the money. So they're going to see several messages in red, and they're also going to get a pop-up later on indicating that they need to open the account with the vendor before they finish this enrollment process. So let's say I select a vendor, then I'm going to enter a flat amount that I'd like to contribute for each pay, and then I'm going to click Continue. This is that nice pop-up warning I was mentioning that they need to contact the provider to set up the account. I'm going to click OK to continue. I'm going to get a summary of the elections I just made, which includes the plan, the vendor, the election, and then I'm going to click Continue to save. So I'm almost complete. I'm going to get a pop-up letting me know I'm almost complete. And to finalize my elections, I need to authorize and submit. So I'll click OK. And that is going to take me back to that home page, if you will, for SRA. And it's going to ask me to authorize and submit. So let's say I authorize and submit. I'm going to get a summary of my elections, and I'm going to get some text that I'm going to need to read to authorize my supplemental retirement election. Once I have hit authorize and submit, same type of thing. I'm going to get, if I want, a confirmation statement of the election I just made. Again, the pop-ups here, they're going to want to make sure that they allow pop-ups, and they can get that election. So that's pretty straightforward. It's just a few clicks. But there's also some additional, a lot of times employees might want to make some other type of contribution changes. So I want to walk you through what it would be like if, let's say, I'm already enrolled in a plan. So let's say I'm a current employee and I'm already enrolled in a supplemental retirement account. I'm going to click Edit next to the 457 So in this example, I already, let's say, make a $300 contribution per paycheck, but I know I'm going to get a vacation payout or something else where I want to do a one-time additional contribution. So that's an option I could do, or I could also change my provider if I wanted, or I could change my contribution amount as long as I've opened that and notified that vendor. Or I could always drop out of the plan as well by waiving my contribution. In this example, I'm going to request a one-time additional. So let's say I check that box. Then it's going to pull additional information on the page. It's going to ask me what amount I would like, what one-time additional amount I would like to contribute. It also summarizes when that amount will take effect. Notice that after that one-time amount takes effect, and then it will be dropped back down to my regular paycheck contribution amount on the very next pay. So I'm going to enter the amount I would like to contribute, and I'm going to click continue. So I've entered $1,000 extra I'd like to contribute. So it's going to summarize the election I just made, and then I'm going to click continue because I'm okay with that. Again, it's going to let me know you're almost done. You still need to authorize and submit. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit authorize and submit. We're going to get all the fun summary of elections, and going to read all that and authorize and submit to certify that I am good to continue. And this is what really notifies our office and what will update the payroll system. So we're going to go ahead and, if we wanted to, as an employee, print the confirmation statement of the elections I just made. And this will just have the 403B and 457 elections summary on this confirmation statement. So that pretty much summarizes supplemental retirement account enrollment and how to do that through eBenefits. Let's go ahead and continue through to dependent tuition assistance. So that is something that we are now going to ask employees to do electronically, and we'll walk through those steps. Again, from the home page, they're going to click on Dependent Tuition Assistance to get started. And they're going to see this page. Now, this page will only display the current term or semester available for an employee to enroll their dependents in. It's also going to indicate when the next term will be available. We are going to be doing some specific targeted communication, because we are now going to be requiring that individuals who take advantage of this benefit enroll in the benefit each semester. So previously you could enroll in it for an entire academic year at one time by filling a form out for the entire academic year. But because of the types of taxation questions that are required for the employee to authorize, it needs to be done on a more frequent basis. So we are going to be, again, sending targeted emails so that the employees who do take advantage of this benefit know that they need to log in to eBenefits and re-enroll each semester going forward. So notice that also, and it's kind of there in red, that it's important that they have the student ID on hand in order to enroll the dependent. That's the same as if they were doing it via form. We also require the student ID for the form. So let's say I'm ready to enroll one of my current dependents in spring's term. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Dependent there at the bottom. And it's going to ask me to enter that student ID or their name.number. So I can actually search two different ways for my student, but I am going to also need to indicate their date of birth and the relationship that dependent has to me. And that drop down will only be the eligible options for those taking advantage of this benefit. So let's say I've entered that. I'm going to hit search, and it will pull back the dependent's information, the student's information. If the student is not found, then they'll get a message saying student not found, which basically means a student ID does not exist for that individual. Or maybe they've entered incorrect information, like a incorrect date of birth. So that will then pop up. The next thing they really just need to do is click continue to finish that enrollment process. Now that they've done that, they're going to see on that page that there's newly added students information is there. And they're just going to need to check on the box the open term next to that dependent's name. And that's what triggers the enrollment for that dependent. Then they'll click continue to complete additional information before they can submit their elections. So this is the taxation question I was talking about. So once they click continue, they're going to be asked if the dependent is eligible to be claimed on their federal 1040, and they need to indicate that, and that's something we need to capture on a quarter or semester by semester basis. Notice there's also a field for them in case they do have another parent or employees working here to be eligible for the 75% tuition discount. So they could also enter that information on this page. So let's say I've entered the tax question. I'm going to click continue. And then I'm going to be taken to the authorize and submit page. So this will allow me to finalize my election. Again, if I wanted to return or make some additional changes, I could always click cancel, but let's say I'm good. I'm going to authorize and submit. And that's basically going to bring me to this confirmation option. So I'm going to get a nice confirmation confirming that I have enrolled my dependent into the benefit. So that's going to, that benefit, the tuition discount will be applied to the student statement, assuming they meet the credit hour eligibility. So we kind of check that on the back end. We do have some rules for how many credit hours dependents can take advantage of the benefit. So assuming all of that works well on the back end, then they will see the discount on their student statement. So that kind of summarizes dependent tuition assistance. I want to go over a few other things, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So let's go into hopefully summarizing some tips and tricks. It's important to remember that for this pilot and ongoing, that when Med Center and College of Med employees are logging in, they're going to use their Med Center user ID and password. If they need assistance with that, they can call the help desk, the Med Center help desk, which we have listed on the new hire packet information. One other thing I want to highlight is the scrolling. Sometimes there are a lot of places on the eBenefits site where if the employee just scrolls down, perhaps they'll see. So an example of that is when you want to enroll a dependent. A lot of times you need to scroll down to the bottom of the page. So I know it sounds silly, but that sometimes helps some of our callers. Also checking the enroll box next to the newly added dependents. SSN is also required if you're tying them to the health plans. And we do try to highlight in the new hire packets the information that employees should have on hand before they go on to eBenefits. So that one of those call-outs are that the SSN is required. Allowing pop-ups to view the confirmation statement, that was something we got a lot during open enrollment. They needed to have the pop-ups allowed because those do open in another window. Another thing I want to highlight is the benefit summary. Again, that is not instant after enrollment. So after you have done maybe a life event or a new hire, you can't instantly go to benefit summary and see those updates. That will take some time. Dependent tuition is also something that's going to be changing as far as the enrollment will be required each term or each semester, not annually. Again, we're going to be doing some targeted communications to make sure employees currently taking advantage of the benefit know that. Also want to highlight you can designate beneficiaries anytime through the benefit summary page. The 31-day window is something also that's going to be important as far as if employees are hired late into the system, they have already maybe lost some of their 31-day window. Or let's say if I've had a life event and I have not logged in within the 31 days, then that is obviously something that you would need to call our office and handle that outside of the system. So that 31-day window becomes critical for new hires. Or next I want to talk about, and after the next topic, I'm going to talk about the notifications that employees will receive. But those are some of the key tips and tricks. And then some things that we're going to provide to help employees along the way, because this is a PeopleSoft site, so it's not the, it has some room for user friendliness. So what we've tried to do is have click-by-click tutorials, if you will, that employees can visit to see how to make elections. And these are just PDFs that, again, highlight where to click and what their options are. So this is on the home page. They can click on the help button, or the little help icon is scattered throughout the website. These are examples of tutorials we're going to have available. I'm a new hire. How do I start? I had a life event. What do I do? How do I enroll in FSA? How do I enroll in dependent tuition, etc. So those are going to be available to employees at any time. All right, next let's talk about notifications. So there's going to be, these are going to come from customer service mailbox at OHR, and they're going to go directly to employees. So newly hired employees are going to receive an email to their medical center email as well as their name.number email indicating that they are now, we are ready for them to log into eBenefit to make their elections. Let me talk through a little bit about the timing around this, because there's been a lot of questions in previous webinars and when I've done additional training. So let's say an employee was hired, a future dated hire. So I know that they're going to be here on, I don't know, April 1st, but today is the February 27th. I'm going to go ahead and hire them April 1st. The employee isn't going to get an email until probably April 1st or April 2nd. They will not get an email on the day you hire them. They will get an email on their hire date or a day or two after. It does take our system 24 to 48 hours to process that new hire after the date of the hire, so the event will be open. So there's some things in the back end that basically need to happen to open that event. As soon as it's open, that's when they get the email indicating they can log into eBenefits and make their elections. So we'll be sending that out as soon as we can to their hire date so they can take advantage of that 31-day window. They'll also receive receipts, if you will, or confirmation notifications. So if I've gone in and made elections as a new hire or life event, as soon as I hit authorize and submit and log out, I'll have an email in my inbox. Same thing, it goes to your med center and your name.number, just letting you know that we've received your election. And those also could highlight if additional documentation is required. Same thing for supplemental retirement and dependent tuition. If I go in and make those elections, I'm also instantly going to receive a confirmation letting the employee know that we've received their election. We also have a few reminder notifications that I think I've mentioned. One is going to be sent on day 24, and that will be the day letting them know that their 31-day window is closing if they have if they haven't been newly hired. So let's say I was newly hired, and I'll get an email right away a few days after, day 1 or day 2 of my hire, in that April 1st example. And then let's say on April 24th, I'm also going to get an email letting me know that I still have not if we have seen that they haven't made elections. If they have, they won't get the email. But if they haven't made elections, they'll get an email reminder letting them know that their 31-day window is about ready to close. I talked about this a little bit earlier. We're also going to send emails to individuals who did not authorize and submit on a weekly basis. So if we see that you've logged in and tried to make elections, but you did not hit the authorize and submit button, then you're also going to get a friendly reminder to go in and authorize and submit, and we try to highlight those instructions as well. Again, we're going to send tuition reminders to individuals who are currently enrolled in the benefit, reminding them that they need to go in each semester. So we will coordinate that with the timing and the deadlines for those enrollment processes. So that's a little bit about the notifications. Lastly, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A, is the support lines. So at any time during the next few months, if you guys have any feedback or questions, you can send those to the ESS mailbox. And that would be ess@hr.osu.edu, the same email you've used throughout this tutorial, perhaps to send a question. And really, the tutorials hopefully will be very helpful. So that's something some departments have decided to possibly print out and keep those tutorials handy to give employees if they get stuck in certain sections or have specific questions. The customer service, the Office of Human Resource Customer Service, is the main number for additional assistance. And if they can't answer your question, then that'll be escalated to the benefits technical team, which will help. We're going to have this webinar. We're going to go ahead and post this. So if there's additional Med Center employees who have central folks, HRPs or other individuals you think it would be helpful for them to hear this information, we're going to go ahead and post that so that they can listen to this recording if they weren't able to make today's webinar. We're also going to send some surveys to employees, and we'd also like to include some HRPs in the next few weeks during the, next few months during the pilot to just get feedback to see if there's any enhancements or things that we can do before we go live with the entire university on April 30th. So there might be some just general things we can do to improve it. Obviously, if there's something critical, something not working, please send that to ess@hr.osu.edu so we can get to that as soon as possible. So that's basically the support lines. Let me go ahead and try to, we'll next open it up for Q&A. So we've gotten a few questions throughout the presentation. So let me do my best to address those. And if I haven't addressed your question, if you could go ahead and email ESS. You want to pull up that email for me, just in case we get additional questions in the next few minutes. So let me go ahead and try to address the ones we have received. The first one was, how long is the person hired? Or how long after the person is hired and PeopleSoft will be able to go in and do this? So I touched on that a little bit, but let me expand on that. So if a person is hired into PeopleSoft, they will be able to go in and do this after they receive an email notification, which is usually 24 to 48 hours after their hire date. And if they have any trouble with that, they can contact, if they go log in and they don't see an open event, then they can contact us. But that should be, and the email is really what triggers them to know, triggers the employee to realize that they are ready to start their enrollment process. And they will also get a reminder again on day 24 that will remind them they can go in and make their elections as well. So hopefully that answers that question. They cannot access it after 31 days. So if it's been, if we're retro hiring someone and they have missed their 31 days, they obviously need to do that via paper. Okay, next question is there a training module available for us to try this ourselves? No, we don't really have an environment where you could go in and play yourselves, if you will. We do have, hopefully, the tutorials, which will give you that click-by-click experience, but we don't really have anything else available at this time. So hopefully the tutorials in this webinar will help guide you through when you're helping the employee. The next question we received is, what if the student isn't there by the deadline or the first term of enrollment? So the student has to register. We're really trying to have our HR policy fall in line with the student policies. So in order for a student to enroll in classes, they obviously need to meet certain financial and registration deadlines. So we're trying to better align our policy with those deadlines. So fees are actually due 7 days before classes even start. We're going to be allowing employees to enroll into this benefit up to 7 days after classes start. So we're already giving kind of a grace period for possible late enrollment. So we're going to align it with a drop add. So hopefully that answers that question. The next question was, if the employee doesn't elect their spouse as the primary beneficiary, what are the steps that they need to do to designate. So you can have anyone be your primary beneficiary. I mean, there's a long list of options. It could be your neighbor, it could be your mother, it could be your spouse, what have you. So if the employee would like to elect someone as their primary beneficiary, let's say I'm an existing employee, then I would visit the benefit summary page. They're going to click on Group Term Life, and that's where they would go to update who they want to designate as their primary and who they want to update, make their secondary or their contingent, and they can change that percent allocation there as well. So those are kind of the steps you need to take. And one of the tutorials that we're going to have up, I don't think it's up yet, it'll probably be up later today or tomorrow. It will be, if you're an existing employee, how to update your beneficiaries. So it's something we walked through a little bit, so hopefully that helped answer the question. And then the tutorial will also help. But you can have a primary. You don't have to designate a secondary. You could designate a secondary if you'd like. So there's plenty of options there. You could have multiple primaries if you split up the percent. So there's lots of options there. Next question that I received was, will there be any reminder notices to people whose new hire enrollment window may be nearing? So I think I answered that. That's that day 24 reminder. And then, so hopefully I've answered most of the questions. I'm going to go ahead and have my mediator log in, make sure, see if we haven't got any more in the last few minutes while I've been going over those. And then also, if I didn't answer, feel free to email us, or you can email me directly at more.2374 if I didn't answer any of your specific questions. So it looks like we got a few more. Let's say a person, one of the questions was if a person has a change in FTE that makes them newly eligible, do they get an email? Good question. Yes, they do. So same type of thing, they would get a notification letting them know we see they're eligible for new benefits, and walks them through the steps. In that example, what the employee would do is they would click on benefit enrollment on the home page, and they would see an open event there. Same thing, they have 31 days from the date of that job change to go in and make those elections. So yes, that is one of the notifications. I'm sorry if I skipped over that, but they will also get an email if they've had a job change that resulted in a benefit eligibility change. And that's something that's probably important for a lot of the people on the call, because I think sometimes we've heard employees didn't realize they had a job change happen in the system. So hopefully we're doing our best to communicate those job changes to the employees. Otherwise, their first, they may be hearing of it is through this email. So definitely good question, and I wanted to highlight that. Another question we have is, does an employee need to do anything different to enroll themselves in tuition benefit? So yeah, if you're enrolled in the employee tuition program, no, there's nothing different. That's all done kind of behind the scenes, if you will. So we've got it working pretty well to where we recognize you're an employee, we recognize you're a student, and that fee authorization waiver is applied to your student account. So the only thing that we're going to be requiring be done online is the dependent tuition assistance, which is currently a form. So the online process is replacing that form. So we will kind of wrap up. I think that's all the questions we have for now. If there's any other detailed questions, feel free to contact me directly. If there's some you couldn't get across via email, I'm at 292-5381. Or if you think of a few things after this, feel free to continue to email the ess@hr.osu.edu. Again, we are going to, what we'll do is we'll add the questions we received and the answers to this PowerPoint and then send this out later today or tomorrow so you guys can have a copy of this. We'll also probably be sending out a communication letting you know when this has been recorded and posted online. So in case others missed it, they can hear this tutorial at a later time. So that kind of wraps things up. Hopefully that answers a lot of your guys' questions around e-benefits. Again, we're really excited. So today is day one. We probably are looking at individuals are still in orientation, so we don't anticipate a lot of traffic on the site until later midweek. But hopefully, as you guys get questions, you feel a little bit more prepared to answer those. Again, if you get stuck at any time, feel free to email ess@hr.osu.edu, and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. Well, that wraps up today's webinar. Thank you so much. And we will send you this presentation again later today or tomorrow. So thank you so much.